Welcome to the Legacy Boxing Showcase of New Mexico, brought to you by Torres Collision. Hi, I'm Austin Killeen of Killeen's Corner, and my very special guest today is Josh Pitbull Torres and his son, Julian. How you guys doing today?
Good.
We're doing good. Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Julian, I understand you're a sub-flyweight and you're undefeated. Is that true? And what style do you use? Are you a southpaw or orthodox?
Southpaw.
Southpaw. And how'd you become a southpaw when your dad's an orthodox fighter? Don't know, but you're just good at it. Well, I seen you work out, and you look pretty tough to me.
Thank
you. You know, and you're also a football player. Well, fantastic. And I think your dad was pretty busy last Saturday night, if I recall. So, Josh, how does it feel to be back in the ring?
It felt great. You know, we felt the energy was amazing. Fighting back at the Route 66. It's been many years since we had fights there, so it was a great event.
I believe it's about 2013. I think Holly Holmes beat Mary McGee. I think that was the last boxing card there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And it's, what, about a year since you've been in the ring?
It was close to a year.
Yeah, so well, this was good. This was, do you feel you get the rust out? It was a pretty competitive fight.
I did. It took me a few rounds to get the ring rust off, but as soon as I started to feel comfortable and I felt that it was all coming back, you know, one round at a time.
Well, it started off like you were in control, even though you hadn't really hit full stride. Then in the third round, he made the big move. How did you react when he came on like that?
Well, I knew that it was just a matter of time before he started warming up also.
Yeah.
We knew that he wasn't going to come to lose. So we were prepared for a tough fight. Maybe he was a little tougher than we expected, actually. You know, he really came and he was trying to win. So it was real important that we had trained hard, and I think the conditioning made a big difference.
All fighters will always tell you, oh, I take everybody serious. But there must be times when you get in the ring and, you know, you pretty much think it's not much in the other corner. You're not going to say it out loud. Have you ever had a fight like that where all of a sudden, well, to some degree, this happened the other night from what you're telling me?
Yeah, it happens from time to time, but like you said, you always have to prepare yourself for any kind of situation, and that's what we did. And luckily we did, because had we not trained the way that we did, we might have been upset that night.
Now, how do you prevent yourself from getting into the mode of fighting not to lose instead of fighting to win? Because there's a big difference mentally.
Yeah, I think it's something that is just inside of you. I think it's something that you build within yourself. It's not really something that you can work on. You just have to find it deep down inside of you and pull it out.
One thing, might as well give a shout out for your dad. Obviously, he works your corner. And when they talk about the trainers, he doesn't seem to get a lot of love. But he certainly were in shape, and he was your trainer, so
right.
He probably deserves a shout.
Yeah, we get the job done. It's not always easy, but to work as father and son, but we definitely put in the wrench time in the gym, and you know, we came out with the victory, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
There's a lot of talk about father-son combinations. Is it good? Is it bad? So, you know, you've worked with your dad for a long time. So what's the reaction if he gets on you between rounds, or he tells you you're doing well? What types of messages have you had over the years from your dad?
They're definitely mixed, and the emotions are mixed. It's really, you know, hard to say just exactly what it's like, because it's hard to explain. And it's something that, man, I couldn't imagine going through it with my son, having him, you know, fight while I'm just sitting in the corner, almost feeling helpless. So, but like I said, you know, we trained hard, we put in the work, and, you know, we made a good night of it.
Well, going into that, obviously you're a warrior, and you're not going to quit even if things are going bad. But if you're watching your son, or your father's watching you, their willingness to be a warrior in your body has to be a challenge. How do they deal with that, would you say?
Yeah, I would imagine it's got to be tough for the father looking in. I don't know. It's just a tough situation, definitely, when it's, you know, a father and son bond.
The other thing, I thought you looked pretty good the other night. I thought it was a pretty good fight. But I noticed that Austin Trout, Fidel Maldonado, and you seem to be judged at a higher standard than the other fighters in the state, most likely because your level of competition is superior to the other fighters in New Mexico. Does that bother you? And like, is the glass half full? I mean, a lot of people thought you looked good, but then others said, well, he got hit. I mean, I don't know any fighter that gets in the ring and doesn't get hit, but does that ever irritate you when you get?
It really doesn't irritate me. Like I mentioned earlier to you, with great power comes great responsibility. I know what I signed up for. I know it comes with the business, and that's okay. I've learned to be mature enough, and I've learned to get past those things and just focus on what's really important and go from there.
Well, I thought, maybe you could correct me if you think otherwise, I thought it was your best showing since you fought Rodney Ganoy.
I definitely felt the hunger again. I definitely felt the passion. So you can say that. I think I had some great fights, you know, like with Mike Alvarado and things like that, but I think that this one was to show the people that I'm back and I'm hungry again. Well,
what I liked when he surprised you in the third round, and you obviously had to be, wow, I couldn't believe it. He really put you back on your heels and went after you. So what got you back on track? I mean, your first reaction must have been, wow. But how do you get back in the groove?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, it's something that is just inside of you, something that you have to dig down deep and really pull out who you are. And it all comes back to, you know, where I was raised, who I was raised by, what I'm made of. I think that's what really made me pull through, aside from the physical training. And then not only that, I knew in the back of my mind that I was in control the whole fight. I knew that eventually I was going to have my way, so I knew I just had to weather the storm. I seen him getting tired. I seen that obviously the altitude was affecting him. I seen him breathing hard in the corner, so I knew it was just a matter of time before the pressure and the power punches were going to take a toll on him.
Well, you started to reassert yourself in the fourth round. It looked to me like in the third round when he surprised you, you stopped jabbing, which is one of your good punches. And then the fourth round, you started to roll again, but then all of a sudden, in the last minute, he staged another incredible rally. So,
yeah, well, like we mentioned, he was game. He wasn't there to lose. And those are the kind of opponents that we need. We need people to push us. That way we could bring out the best in us. And I think that's what we gave the fans on Saturday night. We gave them a great show, and we gave them the money's worth.
Well, I certainly got my money's worth. Of course, I didn't pay to get in, but I still was pretty happy. Let's see who we're looking at here.
Josh's fight.
Oh, this is your fight. You know, the funny thing in looking at the film here, you obviously have a hard body, and he wasn't out of shape by any means, but he looks like he was a little softer than you, but obviously he wasn't, because you laid some stick on him. What punch do you think started messing his eye up?
It was definitely the left hook that was closing the eye. The left hook was landing. The uppercuts were setting up the hooks, and the body shots were taking his will away. We landed body shots early in the fight, the first round. Those hurt him. Those got him on his back feet a little bit. And from there, we just started breaking him down. Well, when you answered the fourth round and started to come back in control, I thought he'd fold, but he didn't. He just, as a matter of fact, the fifth round was a war. That might have been the best round of the whole fight. Oh, yeah.
And then in the sixth round, he came flying out of his corner. But it looked like you were getting to his eye, and that really hurt him. Every time I hit him with my left hand, he was squinting. We knew he was having trouble seeing out of that eye. The power shots were landing, and it was just a matter of time before either the ref or his corner was going to have to stop it, because he wasn't going to give up himself. He was a warrior, and he was taking too much punishment in there. You know, actually, when I said it was your best showing, you showed me a lot in the fight up in Grants, New Mexico. I forget the gentleman's name, but you had an orbital bone broken, and that had to be very painful. So in a manner of speaking, you showed quite a bit of spirit in that fight. I don't know if the fans appreciated what you were going through. I didn't even know your eye was that bad at the time. Right, yeah, at the time, you know, I had a fractured orbital, and I'm not a fighter that likes to make excuses, but it did make tonight tough. I think maybe the fight could have went differently had we not suffered that injury,
But yeah, again, it all comes down to digging deep and showing people what we're made of. And I think at the end of the day, when my career is all said and done, people are going to know that I always went out there and I gave it my all, and I never quit.
I know in the 10th round you tried to stage a rally and you were willing to risk it all. You just sucked up the pain. Obviously, it was pretty hard to turn it around at that point. But I thought you showed quite a bit there in that fight, and you were in a really adversarial position. And then after that, it seemed like you kind of got in the San Andrea tar pits. But this fight, you seem to have come out of it again. What happened there in your career?
I don't know. I think we just had a little lull in our career. You know, we had a little couple setbacks, but we're back on track. We've learned to get through that, and now we're focused on moving forward and seeing what the future has in store.
Now, after the fight, you called out Mike Alvarado, I believe it was?
Well, I said that I need fights like that. I need fighters like Mike Alvarado, and I had hoped that maybe they would give me a rematch based on the fight that we gave them the first time around and based on the turnout that we had Saturday night at the Route 66. I think it'd be a great event for New Mexico.
Now, obviously you fought a good fight against Mike Alvarado. It was a majority decision. One judge actually thought the fight was a draw. But you showed me something at the 4th round that you didn't show me in the 8th round with Alvarado. I was looking for you to let it all hang out, and I hope I don't make you mad, but it looked like you were in a sparring session in the 8th round. You never really got out of your comfort zone. Where in the 4th round, you came back and said, hey, I'm in charge of this fight the other night.
Right.
And I'm just, obviously he's a better fighter than the fighter the other night, but I think if you could have shown that emotion, you probably would have had at least a draw, because if you had gotten one other judge to give you the 8th round, it would have been a draw.
Right. That's just one of those things, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but It's all part of the learning experience. Each and every fight, I feel like I'm taking a little bit of lessons and learning something new every time. You never really stop learning in boxing, and I feel like I'm just growing. And as I mentioned, I'm just excited to see what the future has in store, because I feel like I'm evolving into the kind of fighter that I need to be.
Now, if you can't get him to come down here, who else do you have in your dance card that you'd like to get in here?
I mean, the welterweight division is stacked, so the possibilities are endless. It's a very stacked division. There's a lot of great and up and coming fighters here from New Mexico. So, I mean, we just have to wait and see what the future has in store.
Well, obviously, ironically, at national level, the welterweights are stacked, and in New Mexico they're stacked. But in New Mexico, obviously, you're at the top of the heat. I mean, there's a couple of fighters who could, be worthy matches for you. But there's no question, I'd have to say you have to be considered #1 based on the level of competition you fought. And you really haven't ducked anyone. You've been always willing to get in the ring with anybody who's available.
Right.
Interesting. You talked, we were talking a while back, who you thought the toughest welter out there might be, and it wasn't the name that people would think of. I don't know if you remember who you said.
Well, there's a lot of tough welterweights.
But you threw up a spoiler, and someone I agreed with you on. Well, I'll tell you, you said you're talking about Sean Porter.
Oh, I didn't say he's one of the toughest. I just feel like he's one of the toughest styles.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And I had to agree with you. I think he could fight any of the big names out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So they are loaded. And so anyways, Josh, I want to thank you for being our special guest today, and the young man next to you, who's once again is undefeated, Julian. And when's your next fight, Julian? You're holding back? Yeah.
Maybe after football season.
After football. What position do you play? Running back. I heard you had a touchdown the other day. A cheerleader told me that. Yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you very much, and
thank you.
Love to have you again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, and now we'll break for a commercial.
And flags are going to fly here. And wide open, making the catch and standing the end zone is Delo Davis. Well, what's going to be the call? Is this going to be a touchdown? And it's returnable. Edwards makes a move and another move to the outside. Uh-oh, look out. He puts on the Jets in a 50-yard.
Down the first base side. Oh, what a play turned in by Jackson. Great play by Jackson.
Delo Davis are in motion. Delo Davis going to get the carry out of motion. And look out, here comes Delo Davis. He's through. Davis all the way.
Got a little bit of breeze out towards right field. That's hitting the gap to right center field. Right fielder coming on. What a great catch turned in by Schober.
As Wichita, the kick. Here's Bray. A little stutter. Look out. Antonio Bray's got to move to the outside, and it's all wheels from there. He's going to take it.
Stop. Runner's going to go.
Oh, here he's going. Watch out
Here
at
comes
home.
the play as the play. Throws in time. Got it.
Out. Them the day that Parker's pitching.
That's lifted back this way. The catcher,
Rendon.
Rendon, coming back and
What
makes
a
the catch. Great catch by Rendon. Up the middle. They're waving him around. It gets by. Here comes a winning run. Connor Langwell scores a winning run off the bat of Garrett Langwell. Clovis is going to win it 3-2. RBI single for Garrett Langwell, Tom.
Bray right next to him. Bray gets the carry. What a spin move. And look out. He puts on the Jets. Antonio Bray. One for the highlights.
The Cherry Silver Benefit Home Show, April 7th and 8th, benefiting the UNM Children's Hospital, Popejoy Hall, and Anderson School of Management. See exhibitors feature windows, doors, kitchen, bath, sunroom, stucco. The Cherry Silver Benefit Home Show at Dreamstyle Arena, The Pit.
Welcome back to Legacy Boxing Showcase, sponsored by Legacy Boxing Promotions. I'm Ed Nunez along with Austin Colleen. And Austin, in the first segment, you had Pitbull Torres victorious over Morris Rodriguez. And we're going to get to these fights here at Route 66, Route to Glory, in just a second. But in one of your articles on Colleen's Corner, which you can catch colleenscorner.com, you had said if Pitbull didn't win this fight, you know, in a sense, you might as well think about you know, what's around the corner. And he came through, and he came through in a big way. What do you think?
I think he was in a fight. Was the glass half empty or half full? His critics, well, he got hit. I don't know any fighter who gets in a ring who doesn't, so I don't know what that meant. And I thought he looked pretty good, and I think it was his best performance in 3 years since he fought Ronnie Ganoy from Australia.
You said that in your article.
Yeah.
And so going up, he said maybe Mike Alvarado. Your first opinion about that when he said that?
Well, I was talking to him on the broadcast, and in the fight the other night, Rodriguez came to fight, and he had to finish the third round really strong, put Josh back on his heels. Josh responded in the fourth round with a great effort to try to take control again. When he fought Alvarado in the 8th round, he acted like it was a gym session. If he acts in a rematch with Alvarado like he did against Rodriguez, granted Alvarado's a step up, I think Josh has a chance of winning. He has a chin made out of cement.
Yeah.
So he's just got to let it hang out. You can't always stay within yourself.
But you were impressed with his performance?
I think he earned the right to seek better.
Real quick, before we go to these fights, real quick, last night I saw it on Facebook. Somebody posted La Bala Mendoza versus Pitbull Torres. Now, that was just somebody in Albuquerque posting that. That's already been talked about.
Right.
Now, I don't know. What's your thought about that? I don't know if it'll happen or not.
I don't know either. Unfortunately, neighborhood rivalries when I was a kid were big things. When I grew up in Springfield, Andre Tessier and Sammy Walker were the two best middleweights. And when they signed them to fight, every ticket was gone in 3 days. And the fight itself lived up to everybody's expectation. And it even resulted in a rematch where Walker, who had lost the first fight, won the second. So to me, neighborhood fights can be very exciting.
Springfield, Massachusetts, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's Austin Killeen's hometown. Let's take a look. Producer Josh Brown has some highlights for us from Route to Glory. Austin, tell us what we're looking at here.
Okay, I think we're looking at Gene Perez and Prado. I think
that was the opener. The opener.
And I tell you, this was a candidate for fight of the night. And the gentleman in the black trunks lived in Texas, and he recently moved into southeastern corner of New Mexico. Jose Prado. And he's handled by Isidro Castillo. And he's a pretty smooth fighter. Clearly, he won the first and third rounds. But surprisingly, in the second round, when he had Gene on the ropes, Perez was very effective scoring. And then in the fourth round, Gene Perez knocked him down with a clean knockdown, but he couldn't follow it up. And it was a split decision. I think that when it came down, who did you think won the second round? Because that round was very, very competitive.
Now you scored it here. Judge Levi Martinez scored the fight. 39-36 for Pettis. Judge Chris Tellis and Esther Lopez, 38-37 for Prado for the split decision.
I was surprised at Levi Martinez's score because he didn't give Prado a round. Now this fight here is Christian Castillo, no relation to the promoter. And Christian, you can see, has a beautiful right hand.
That was a beautiful right hand that he knocked the opponent down there with.
And this is the mongoose, Ronnie Baca, and his opponent was a live opponent.
Alexis Saucedo.
And this was a very good fight, as long as it lasted. I actually think the two fighters who lost in these two fights would be a good fight themselves.
I believe that's Angel Babyface Pettis against Levi Lucero. A little bit of a push down there. Well, tell us about Babyface's debut as far as you're concerned.
He needs better competition. He's one of the best amateurs in the country. What a knockout. And now here is Jason Sanchez, and he had a left jab like a drill. And I thought it was a great performance on his part, and he's ready for bigger competition. His opponent has had 107 pro fights. And
that was Jason, and this fight here is the
semifinal. It was the just before Josh's fight. It was 8 rounds, and
that's Sanchez against Pantero Mieras of Agua Prieta, Mexico. And one of the things you said is that Mieras came in kind of laughing and kind of clowning, and that didn't deter El Alacarancito at all. Jason
Not at all. And I'll have to refer to his nickname by Scorpion. Because I can't handle the other. It's supposed to be a small
he was our guest 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So
very shy, as I recall, when we had him on. But he's a very nice young man, and this was an excellent performance because he was hard to hit, never mind taking the punches the other gentleman had.
As far as Mieras compared to Stephen McIntyre, Sanchez's last opponent, what did you think? Mieras a little bit more busier than McIntyre was. What did he provide for as an opponent for Sanchez?
I was kind of disappointed in him, other than the 5th round and the 6th round, and I don't think he won either round. He didn't really show me that much. This fight was terrific.
This is Josh Pitbull Torres against Morris Rodriguez.
And that Morris is spelled with 1 R. I don't know why.
Yeah, you said that in your article.
Yeah, he is. But Morris was really tough, and he had a reputation as a spoiler. And when we were talking to Josh, Josh said he was shocked in the 3rd round because Morris came on strong in the last minute. And Josh said he had to regroup because he didn't expect that from his opponent. And he backed Josh up. And when Josh gave up his left jab for some reason, he got into trouble.
Made it sound like this was a really good fight, Austin. You did in your article.
Oh, I love this fight. Actually, I like the whole card, really. The 3 one-round knockouts, the 3 gentlemen who lost, really came to fight. They didn't just stand there and be punching bags.
You can see the excellent shape that Josh Pitbull Torres is in, and Morris Rodriguez as well, but Pitbull looked really good for this fight.
Well, he's got a hard body. You know, he just looks like he's made out of steel. But Rodriguez was tough. I thought that was a good stoppage.
You talked about that. Explain that, why you thought so.
Well, his eye was a mess. If people, I always like to talk about old timers, but the second fight between Cameron Basilio and Ray Robinson back in '57, Basilio's eye was totally shut and they let it go for 15 rounds. Every time Josh touched that eye, the fighter, Rodriguez, was in horrible pain, but he wouldn't quit. And he actually was mad that they stopped the fight. So Josh ran into someone who had as much heart as he did.
And you know what I think brings out the best in a Josh Pitbull Torres? You would say that. You want somebody who's going to bring the best.
Right.
You fought for many years. You wanted someone that was going to bring the best out of Austin Killeen.
Well, actually, I liked them when they were easy.
You know what I mean?
Right,
you said this in your article,
right.
Austin.
Yeah.
You know, you were very candid about what you
Right.
thought that Josh Pitbull Torres needed a challenge to see where he's at going forward. You know, he's mentioned Mike Alvarado. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. Where do you think Josh Pitbull Torres should go?
He's earned the right to face someone better. The question is, can he get a better fighter to come here to Albuquerque, or does he have to leave the state? And this is an interesting thing. Despite being an excellent fighter, Josh has never won a fight outside of New Mexico.
That's interesting. We got about 30 seconds left. Wrap up the whole card for us, what you saw out there at Route 66. You mentioned the Pettis brothers may be coming back in May or June with another venue. Wrap it all up for us.
Well, I think there's a good chance they want to come back in June, maybe late May. I'm not sure how that will work out. But they seem to be happy with the card in total, and I was. I didn't think there was a bad fight on the card. Some people looking at the 3 one-round knockouts might say, well, they were punching bags. But I thought all 3 fighters who came up short came to fight.
Even though Diamond Boy, you know, some late-minute replacements,
Right.
You thought the card itself was pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, in Battle of the Brave, and then they followed that up with Route to Glory. So I think they've had 2 good, solid back-to-back cards.
Right, and Escobar hurt his knee. I mean, that was a legitimate injury, and there was Christian Cabral had personal issues. That's why he wasn't there, which were legitimate.
We'll see what they bring next week. That will do it for this week's edition of Legacy Boxing Showcase. I want to thank our guest, Josh Pitbull Torres. For Austin Killeen, producer Josh Brown, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next time on Legacy Boxing Showcase.
Need some Albuquerque style? Come to the Classic Barbershop in Albuquerque. Every haircut and shave is executed with precision and style. We promise you'll be satisfied or your money back. That's a guarantee. We offer haircuts, classic shaves, and specialize in beard and mustache trims with 2 great locations, 111 7th Street, downtown Albuquerque, or 4717 Manal Boulevard. Classic Barbershop here in Albuquerque.